So, while I'm filming, I figure I might as well give you my final impression of silicone-based airbrush makeup. So if you are interested, please keep watching. So, for those of you who haven't been following my channel, or those of you who are new, I did try out Temotu silicone-based airbrush makeup. Now, I purchased a system, and it came with the set of, I believe, 12 foundation shades in the silicone-based line. Now, silicone-based makeup was a little tough for me to apply at first, but of course, I did film videos of my very first try to my updated routine with silicone-based airbrush makeup that I will link in the description box below. Now, my findings on silicone-based airbrush makeup is that it's a great product. Now, a few of the pros of silicone-based airbrush makeup is, for one, it's long-lasting. For two, it's fairly water-resistant. I'd have to say it's more water-resistant than water-based airbrush makeup. For three, it looks completely natural on the skin. No matter how much you put on, it'll still look natural, give you this really great natural finish. Another positive aspect that would be positive for other people, because I have oily skin, it wasn't really a positive thing for me. But if you have dry skin, the great thing about silicone-based airbrush makeup is it does have a dewy finish, which I think would be perfect for people who have dry or normal skin, because once again, it attributes to this natural glowing look. So I thought those aspects of silicone-based airbrush makeup were great. Now, some of the cons that I found with silicone-based airbrush makeup included, because I have really oily skin, and please take into consideration that the cons are just based off of my personal experience with the product. I know tons of people who have tried it, loved it, it works great for them, they stand behind it. These are just some cons that I've found, kind of turned me off a little bit to silicone-based airbrush makeup. So the first con, I have really oily skin, and it does have such a dewy finish that it just made my skin look super oily, especially throughout the day. I almost felt like I had more oils coming throughout the day with the silicone-based airbrush makeup than water-based airbrush makeup. So, that was a really big con for me, because I don't really like to be touching up too much. I mean, I use blotting sheets, but to saturate 3 or 4 blotting sheets, I kind of found that excessive. So it's not something that I would use on the daily basis, or especially on hot days or anything like that. I couldn't use it. So if you have oily skin, kind of take that into consideration. Now, there are ways to fix that aspect by using setting powder, setting sprays, doing the proper prep work. But for the sake of time, if you're someone like me who uses airbrush makeup every day, it's not really ideal to go through all of those extra steps just if you're going to school or going to the store or whatever you need to do. Now, another problem that I was having with the silicone-based airbrush makeup was that it was a little bit runny on me, and I feel like that's due to my oily skin. So if you, like I said before, if you have oily skin, you might find this type of airbrush makeup a little bit problematic for you. So of course, try it to figure out your own opinion on it, but just kind of take into consideration when things happen like what I'm describing here, that's kind of normal. So another con about silicone-based airbrush makeup is it is super hard to clean, especially to clean out of the gun. It takes me so long to clean it out of the gun, and I use so much of the cleaner. I only have, I think, the 4-ounce bottle, or the 1-ounce, I think it's the 1-ounce bottle of cleaner. Definitely pick up the 4-ounce bottle or larger. You don't want to have such a small amount of the cleaner, just because it takes so much cleaner just to get all of the product out of the gun. And I found myself taking the gun apart after every use. Of course, the gun didn't clog when I was using it, as long as I was making sure that the time between colors wasn't too long, because if you leave it too long, it'll dry in there and then it'll get clogged up, and then you have to clean it. So I feel like if I'm going to be doing my airbrush makeup, I want things to be really quick. That's one of the reasons why I chose airbrush makeup, is because it's quick and easy cleanup. Well, I had a problem with silicone-based airbrush makeup and the extremely long cleanup it took for me. Now, another issue that I had with the silicone-based airbrush makeup, and it could just be because I've used water-based airbrush makeup for so long, is that the pressure that's needed to push out the silicone-based airbrush makeup is just a little too high for my taste. Now, the regular pressure, I don't know if you've seen the Temotu compressors, but there is a dial on the front where it's like almost like the happy place for foundation. So that's where I kept the dial when I was applying my foundation, even at lower speeds like 12 o'clock, or even the lowest speed, which was about 9 o'clock. The pressure still was really high. Now, I'm the kind of person who likes to do all of my makeup with the airbrush, so the fact that the pressure was so high, I really did not want, or didn't feel comfortable airbrushing my eye makeup. just because the pressure was so strong, and you know that area is just so sensitive, and for me it's extra sensitive, so I didn't want to irritate it. So you know, kind of take that into consideration, that you may not be able to do everything you want with a Temp 2 compressor. My 2.0 compressor does not have a zero pressure. It starts at a certain amount of pressure and then it just builds up to the full 30 psi. Now, the Dynair one actually starts at 0, so you get absolutely no airflow, and then you can increase it. So I'm just comparing it to the Dynair one because that's the brand that I use. That's the brand that I started with. So, in that being said, because there is no zero pressure, you can't really find a comfort zone for you with that. And then another thing about the silicone-based airbrush makeup is it has a happy place that'll push the makeup out of the gun. So if you're not in that happy place, you're pretty much SOL. So that was a little bit hard for me. Another problem that I had with the silicone-based airbrush makeup is especially spraying into my eyes. Now I want to talk to you because if you follow my channel, you know that I do a lot of eye makeup tutorials. I love doing my eyeshadow, my eyeliner, all of that stuff with airbrush makeup. I felt like with the silicone-based airbrush makeup, I was so scared to get it in my eye, and I cannot do my makeup with my eyes closed. I don't know if someone can do their makeup with their eyes closed, but I personally cannot. So I had a really hard time. Well, I was really self-conscious about the fact that, you know, I might be getting it in my eye or in my mouth or inhaling it. I'm not too sure what the health stuff is on silicone, you know, in the body and all that kind of stuff, but I'd assume that it's not that great for you if you're doing it all the time. So once again, for everyday use, I don't think silicone based is the way to go, but for events and like special occasions and things like that, I think the makeup was really wonderful. I like the finish that it gave me when I can cover my blemishes, leading me to the next con. I had such a hard time covering my blemishes with the silicone-based airbrush makeup. Now, I know I was practicing so much. I was messaging on Instagram, Temp 2 and Temp 2 Pro, trying to figure out tips and ways that I would be able to cover my hyperpigmentation and my acne, and I just had the hardest time doing it with the concealers underneath the airbrush makeup. So I just figured, okay, I'm just gonna have to just spray on the airbrush makeup and hope whatever covers, whatever comes through is just too strong, it's cool, I'll deal with it. The only thing that I decided to conceal, I guess, was my under eye area, because I cannot go out with dark circles. That's just not gonna happen for me. So those cons being said, and of course some of the pros being said, will hopefully give you a good balance of, you know, information to see if silicone-based airbrush makeup is something that you would want to try. So you probably want to know, do I recommend silicone-based airbrush makeup? I do recommend silicone-based airbrush makeup for people who have dry, normal, or combination skin. I don't recommend it for people who have extremely oily skin. But if you have extremely oily skin and you're really interested, you're dead set on wanting to do the silicone-based airbrush makeup, just take the extra steps to make it last long. Don't get upset if it doesn't stay on your face, or if you have to blot so much, or if your face gets shiny, okay? Because it's just not made for people who have oily skin. Another question that you're probably asking is, would I prefer it over water-based airbrush makeup? I'd have to say that I do not prefer silicone-based airbrush makeup over water-based airbrush makeup. Not that silicone-based isn't completely awesome, because it is, and I love the natural finish when you can get it to cover everything. It's beautiful, guys. It's just, I've been using water-based for so long. It's something that I'm used to. I don't have to worry about getting it in my eyes, in my nose. The pressure is lower. I'm just more comfortable with it. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, or you're still curious about silicone-based airbrush makeup and my experience, please put them in the comment box below. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.